Okay. Okay. So I just want to welcome everyone to Avini Vibes call. And we have Chip Littlejohn on, and we have several of our distributors on, and just welcome. So go ahead, Chip, tell us more about the location for Avini.
Well, they're moving from Plantation, Florida to Boca Raton, Florida. And the old one, had great features. It had been a storage area for a fur shop. And I know a little bit about that because my grandfather made fur coats in North Platte, Nebraska from skins. I always wish, you never know what's going to become a treasure, in a workplace. And you think about the various lines that Rick has set up over the years to make his products. And I suppose some of the things that have been advancements are really, really treasures to him. I don't know if he still has them, but I know now, in order for the Avini Cell Defender to move forward in the process, it has to be under a micron in size if it's going to go into the Avini Cell Defender bottle. And so the device to do that, so essentially it's having to go through a process that absolutely assures it'll be that small when it gets there. And in those rooms where things are being made, they have the entire lab and the manufacturing facility evaluated on a regular basis to make sure that it has oftentimes have to go out and square wise. So the old one was 6,000 square feet. This one is now 18,000 square feet, but it's 24 feet ceilings. So that means that you have all that nice storage area going up as well. And one of the challenges, because they do everything themselves, the empty containers, which they like to buy in bulk to get the better prices, are going to be some of the things that go up in there. And at some location, there's going to be, I don't know if they're 50 or 100-pound bags of raw zeolite that are in the lab being ready to be made into our product. Well, anybody can buy that raw zeolite from the mine. It costs about $800 a ton. Some people take it out of that bag, put it in a bottle, and put the word zeolite on it, and think that they've made a valuable product. That's the raw material for our product. It needs to be very, very small and very, very clean. And that's all measured. All of that is measured. And the new floors, that's what we were talking about just a moment ago, it looks to me like they're a poured epoxy that's aquamarine blue. I just saw it in a couple of like walkthrough photos of the new floors, empty rooms with these new floors, these gorgeous, super bright, shiny aquamarine blue. It looks like you're looking into tropical waters. And so I've always loved those colors anyway. And it kind of goes with the theme colors for Avini. But if you have a poured floor like that, there's no place for dust to hide. So if their goal is to have absolute purity, absolute cleanliness, to be at the highest rating they can possibly be as a manufacturing facility, then that's what we're working toward. And so they also have in place the way to the facility to make the water. Now, we don't use lots and lots of water, and this isn't like drinking water, but it's not huge quantities of water. But when it goes into Avini Cell Defender, we're talking this much. And all this product is one active ingredient. So this is the micronized activated zeolite and purified water.
Yeah.
Well, how pure is the water?
Mm.
Think about that. Well, is it, it came up during the conversation. I always try to get a little bit more out of Rick, then I can bring that to you guys. So I'm thinking as he's telling me, okay, I can't wait to go tell those guys what they're getting. And so to be used in a product like that, where you're not looking to have anything in here that's like electrolytes for drinking or something like that. That's not the reason for the water in here. But the water that's carrying the zeolite with it is not just pure, it's not just ultra pure, it's injectable grade water, and it's measured to be that clean. And the way that they measure how clean it is the mega ohms of resistance as an electrical carrier. So it's kind of a cool thing to think about. Water isn't, a conductor of electricity in and of itself. It's the things that are in it that conduct the electricity. So when you start to take the things out of it and make it cleaner and cleaner, purer water, then the resistance goes up. Now, I still probably wouldn't have the nerve to stand in a bathtub of it and drop the hairdryer. But it measures as injectable grade and very high resistance. And so that those kind of details. What he said was the new water system was in place and it was fantastic. My question to him was, well, the fanciest water system I ever saw in my life is in my little town here in the dialysis unit. It has a room all to itself. It's $1 million room, and that's the room that's used in the exchange for people cleaning their blood. And so I said, well, how does that compare to the water in a dialysis unit? And he said, oh, there's no comparison. And so I said, well, is it better or worse? And he said, well, it's much, much cleaner, because of what we're going to do with it. Now, the water in the dialysis unit can have electrolytes in it and that kind of thing. Obviously, you're wanting, to have those in there. So I'm sure it's perfect for that purpose. But our water is prepared to be perfect for a carrier in our products, and that's what it is. Wow. Is a carrier in our products. So I don't know if you guys like that kind of detail or not.
I love it. Yes. I love really understanding what these products, what all's in them, how they're made. I love that because it validates more and more for me that I know what I'm putting in my body and what I'm putting in other people's bodies because I'm sharing it all the time.
So think about it this way. It takes someplace around 30 steps and 3 days to a week to make a batch of Cell Defender. And there's other people, and this has actually been litigated out in court with people that were attempting to imitate what Rick does. About all they're willing to do at the most is 3 steps in 30 minutes and then slap the word zeolite on it and claim that they did the same thing that Rick did. So you begin to see, okay, there's got to be a difference. And one of the examples, someone said, okay, Rick says his product's less than a micron. We actually measure it, and it's around a half a micron in size, the zeolite particles that are in the. And the reason it's small is so that it'll leave your gut and circulate systemically in your body fluid, so you don't have to inject it in a vein in order to get it in there. Because a larger particle size is just going to be active in your digestive tract. Not that it's harmful there, but if you're planning on the benefits that you see in Avini, where it goes systemically in all the body fluids, it's got to be able to leave the gut and circulate, every place in between every cell. So in the blood and the lymph and interstitial fluids, it's going to be in there. But one of the guys, I thought, well, I'm going to claim that mine's less than a micron. So he ran it through a 1 micron filter. And everybody was picking on Rick, saying, well, this guy says he's got it. There's nothing bigger than a micron in his product. So Rick actually took the product and went looking for zeolite, and there wasn't any in there. What the guy did was get it out of the bag, mix it up in the water, run it through a 1 micron filter. And essentially what he had when it came out the other side of the filter was his original water that came in the city water for his lab.
Oh my gosh.
You see the difference in the people are attempting to imitate something they don't understand, and they're not willing, even if they got an idea what he's doing, they're not willing to put that kind of work in. And it's not just science, it's art, because he's watching as it goes through these 30 some steps to see the size and what's left in there, how clean it is, what metals are still trapped inside the zeolite cage, and then how to get them out. A perfect example of that you might enjoy, when I first got around Rick back in about 2005, he was having the product come out, and it looked a little bit like what you've got now. But if you came back to it in a month or two and opened up your bottle and started using it, you'd see that instead of being that nice creamy color like it is now, it would have turned like a reddish or even maybe almost, well, a dark brown color. And truth was, there wasn't anything the matter with it at all. It was fine, but it had a teeny tiny bit of iron left in it, and
Uh-huh.
the iron would oxidize, and now you had rust. Well, that's no problem, for your body to consume. But us, as people representing the product, and people especially new that didn't understand that, they were suspicious that something was wrong because it wasn't consistent from one to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. So his solution to that, and he says it in public, I always want to be careful not to say too much and give away too many secrets, but for that particular problem, he has a magnetic filter. So any teeny tiny amounts of iron left are removed from the product so that the color stays the same. Now
Wow.
let's go just a little bit deeper into the iron question. There are people in the world who accumulate iron.
Hmm.
I think it's called hemochromatosis. And those people have to give blood frequently in order to lower the blood. Alan's shaking his head. Yes, he knows somebody like that. He's run across that in his lifetime already. And so they have to give blood in order to, because too much of a biologically active metal is still a problem. And stuck is a big word. If any of these things begin getting stuck someplace in it, instead of moving and being active, they become a problem.
Mm.
Okay. So iron accumulating someplace in our system will actually damage organs. And so you want to be at homeostasis, you want to have the right amount. And what we found is that people using Avini Cell Defender don't need to go in and give as frequently or maybe at all, even if they have that affliction. So my answer, or my thought, my question to myself is, okay, that's pretty cool. Now that we know that somebody in that particular predicament can find Avini and go on with a normal life. If they want to give blood, they can, because it's a kind thing to do. Oh my. Well, this is a little aside from that. When I was a young man, I was in special forces. I had a team that was on 24-hour worldwide mobility. If you saw it on the news, we might be there the next morning. And because of that, whatever the diseases were in that area, we constantly got treated ahead of time for those diseases. So literally walk in and get shots in both arms. By the time I got home at the end of Vietnam, and I didn't wind up going to Vietnam, I had a great team, great training. Came my turn to go, and they evacuated Saigon. The Air Force came and said, "We don't need guys like you anymore. Do you want to go home?" So anyway, I came home, and when I came home, the blood bank would not accept my blood.
Oh,
So
wow.
you kind of think about, okay, well, you got to come back from that. I always thought that probably hurt me, because every one of those was a challenge to my immune system that it had to overcome. Uh, but but let's go back to the iron now. How is it possible that someone that was unable to properly regulate the iron levels in their body before gets a hold of a Avini Cell Defender and now they can't? How could that be? I always love those two questions. Well, first of all, they say that it happened. I think, well, that's really cool. Well, how can that be? And then the next thing is tell me more. So how can that be? Apparently, the iron started moving through properly instead of being stuck somewhere, right? I mean, that's the only explanation. It just, whatever automatic started working again. And so uh, the explanations that I've heard in my own mind and from Rick says that when you have a real high amount of a biologically active metal, it may move along with the zeolites. What do you got, Alan? Alan's got a question. Go ahead and ask.
What was that question you said? What was that
How
about
can
the
this
iron?
be? How can this be? I mean, I watch all the amazing testimonies that come out, and the question in my mind is, how can this be? I'm afflicted with that. I'm not asking you guys to all become. Matter of fact, please don't become Rick and Chip and try to say all this stuff.
But
I just want you to know.
How can what be?
Well, in that case, how can a person who was unable to regulate their iron suddenly be able to regulate their iron? How can somebody who's growing tumors all over suddenly have them fall off and fall out? How can that be? You know, you see these things. How can a child that's developmentally delayed all of a sudden, you know, recognize his dad when he comes home and say, I love you, and then start singing the ABCs? How can things like that be? So these are general questions. How can this thing that we're observing, how can these testimonies be, is the question. That's what I'm asking, Alan. And then the other part of it is, well, tell me more. Let's go deeper into it. So a little bit deeper, obviously the iron was moving. So why? How could it possibly be moving? And it could be that when it's in great supply, it's just picked up and spun by the zeolite, not really carried. It doesn't go inside the cage. It's too big. It's not a heavy metal. It's not going to be hauled interiorly, ushered out of the body like mercury, cadmium, lead, arsenic, tin, antimony, bismuth. You know, you can see the periodic table behind me. And so there's an area that's the heavy metals. Those are the ones that go inside the cage. The biologically active metals obviously are left behind. That's super important. So here we go with this going. And so the other part of it, I believe, is which organ is deciding how much to keep and how much to let go? Well, it's the liver. Well, what if we just made all the other work of the liver easier and suddenly it's able to choose the right amount of iron? To me, that absolutely makes sense. So the automatic starts working again. So Alan, here's
the way our bodies are supposed to work starts working again.
Exactly.
Love it.
I went in to see Larry Prophet one time when he was a big administrator in another company, and on his desk was a sign. And it said, no one of us is as smart as all of us. No one of us is as smart as all of us. And I kind of like that sign because I thought, well, you know, he's going to listen, right? I like the sign. But now, after working with this product for a long time, and Larry's with us, by the way, which is spectacular, one of the best networking trainers of all time, I believe. In my mind, that sign now says, and I saw the sign in his home, you know, a couple of months ago, went and did a little thing for him in his house. And to my mind, that sign now says, no one of us is as smart as all of us, but even the best and the brightest among us that become our medical professionals are not as smart as what happens automatically in a healthy human system.
Right.
And that's the power that we trap into.
I love
the power of Avini right there.
Yep.
So that's the main thing I wanted to say. And I know we're missing Christine Terrible tonight and maybe a few others, but thank you guys for being with us.
Oh, I'm so glad that you shared that with us and gave us more of an insight into the product that we are sharing with all of our friends and family and loved ones. We can feel really solid and safe that we're offering something that can really make a powerful difference in everyone. We don't know what they're dealing with. I mean, you know, I was talking to someone the other day and they said they hadn't seen a doctor in about 20 years. So I don't know what they're dealing with, but I just know that this product, if I give it to them, it's going to be good for them. It doesn't matter what they're dealing with. It doesn't matter what symptoms they have. I just know that this product is going to make a difference for them. It's going to impact their lives in some way or another. If they stay on it, it's going to be good for them. And that's all I need. That's all I need is to believe in this product.
Philosophically, in a lot of areas of life, you know, you can, if you feel you have to take control of everything, that's so difficult. On the other hand, you can let it run as it was designed to, and that's so much easier. And really, our philosophy is to, clean it up, get the stuff out of the way, remove the stumbling blocks, and let the system run as it was designed to run.
Yeah.
Many of our friends have Parkinson's, and we talk about Parkinson's a good bit.
Yeah.
My question is, I have 3 friends that I can think of right away that are afflicted with Parkinson's and are having significant difficulties with it. So when it comes to our products, in addition to Cell Defender, are there other products they should be on, and how much should they take? How frequently of these products?
Well, you can certainly use the products in any situation. And when it comes to central nervous system dysfunctions, which you just described, I call it a rough idle. It's like someone's taken plug wires off, and all of a sudden, the whole thing shakes. It just doesn't run smooth anymore. And everybody knows what that is at that point, right? It's central nervous system dysfunction, and it's like you're taking plug wires off and you start shaking. So you can describe something without using the name of the disease, and that's part of the language of Avini is you're free to describe things. They gave me an exercise in a training class one time, and the thing I chose to describe instead of using the word for was a digestive affliction. And I went into such great detail. They said, we're going to write a letter to the FDA so that from now on, it's okay for you to use the word diarrhea instead of telling us all that. And so that's just kind of a joke, but you get the idea. You can make it so absolutely clear that they feel like they've got the problem. They feel like they can smell it and taste it and feel it. They can feel it, the urgency to find a place to, you see how you can do that. And you can do the same thing with the central nervous system function. So Alan, here's the big thought. I believe that all central nervous system dysfunctions either are, or at the very least are made worse by the presence of these toxic metals.
Yeah.
And pretty much you could say that about everything and anything, but I have found that people understand that pretty quickly, especially when they look at that 5-minute video of the neurons in the brain having the insulation literally melt off in the presence of elemental mercury. Has everybody on here seen that video? Yeah. So it literally dissolves the insulation on the nerves in the brain to the degree that you have mercury in the brain.
Yeah.
And so that's the kind of a thing. So you obviously don't have healthy, good, clean nerves. The beauty of the central nervous system is every nerve cell is constantly reaching out to its neighbors, just like we are on this call, to make a new connection. And if you fail, well, you try another one. If something comes in and wrecks it all, if you're still there, you attempt to make new connections. It's like when our networking companies have blown up over the course of our careers, and if you're still there and your urge is to participate and to be around people like you guys, which have a strong urge to do that, you set out to find another way. And our cells in our nervous system are the same way. But as far as the other products go, they're going to benefit just like every other person. There's a reason we make those. We don't make them specifically for people with central nervous system dysfunction, but all of the products used as they are designed to be used are going to be beneficial to that person just like they are to you and me. Let's say we work with a child that has a genetic flaw and it causes them to, have that real distinctive shape of the face, and developmental delays. You know what I'm talking about. Well, that doesn't ever completely get fixed, but you watch those people, oftentimes they're brilliant. They can either be a healthier one of those or a unhealthier one of those. And same way with the people with the central nervous system dysfunctions. Even if they're still trending towards having that, to have it not progress or begin to improve a bit is a precious thing, because their fear is that it's going to get worse, and it is, unless you step in some way. And then let's say you step in, and then you say, oh, well, I actually feel pretty good now. I'd like to do more things in my life. You can use all the products to do that.
Yeah, one of the things I'm seeing, Chip, is that, I started out with Cell Defender. That was my thing. It was what I believed in. I love it. But then I started branching out. Now I'm a silver lover. Nano silver is my big thing now. And then I'm going to go to the immunity mushrooms. But what I'm seeing for myself is this: the more I'm on the products, the more I'm seeing the benefits being on the products, the more I become a product of the product. And now I'm 5 products in. I'm doing 5 different products now. And you know what? I'm feeling amazing. So yeah. So at some point, I do believe everybody wants to be on all of these products, because I think they do different things in our bodies, do different things, and you can feel even better than 100%, I think.
Well, that's kind of natural progression, and it's neat that you're in. I love product discovery. I mean, isn't it fun to be you right now? Because and each one you turn to, you say, wow. I mean, okay, if they had all that, surely that was all their best ones, right? But then the next one turns out to be a best one also. I mean, how could we possibly have so many great things in one company?
I know. The only thing I'm not going to do is the dog treats and the cat treats. Sorry. But I am definitely going. I mean, I love the spray, the pain relief spray. Oh my goodness. In like no more than about a minute and a half, I have no pain in this leg, and I have been living with chronic pain in this leg for a long, long time. So I am just telling you, I'm a product of the product now. And for me, I'm going to tell everyone when they come into the business, I want them being on all of the things. I want them to be a product of the product and believing in every one of them. So that's what I'm teaching.
She kind of jumps off the screen at you, so she knows she's feeling good. And Alan with his smiles, and I see Edward standing up, and it doesn't look like it's easy to stand up. Hopefully we'll be able to get better with that. Edward, I don't think I've met you before. I'm Chip. Hi.
Oh, you're muted, Edward. Can you unmute?
I think he's reaching up to do it.
You are. There you are. Are you there, Edward? Can you hear us?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. So Chip, Edward just came on board, not quite about a month ago. And he's on my team, and I've known Edward for a very, very long time. And Edward, you want to tell him how old you are? It's
77.
How old?
77.
Yep.
Very nice.
77. And I want him healthy. I want him around and healthy and a great quality of life. And that's why I shared it with him. And and now he's starting to share it with other people.
Well, you might be surprised when you get around the Avini group. Most of us, if I was going to say the average age of the group, I'd say around 73, the people representing this product. I am 73. Dave Johnson is 73. Many of the members, and there's several in their upper 80s and 90s. And so I just came from my 55th high school reunion on Saturday. So you guys probably in your life have some reference groups, people that, like your high school guys, your golf buddies, whatever it was. And so you kind of, when you get around them, you say, oh, I'm okay, you're okay, right? And so there's a little bit of that goes on. But if you start saying I'm okay and you realize they're not okay anymore, your reference group starts to fall away. There starts to become a divergence that becomes so drastic. And you know, the guys that I learned to water ski with way back when I was a kid were at the event, and I suppose I'm the only one who's still, you know, barefooting and getting through a slalom course and that sort of thing at 73 years old. The the benefits of having this kind of a philosophy, being around these kind of people, this kind of company, these kind of products, when you add consistency and time to that, you know, you benefit. You know, you might think you're just a normal version of you until you get around to your reference group, the other people your age, and it can be shocking. And if you're on the side of that where you'd like to improve, this is a great place to come do it. And so thank you for being with us, Edward. And 77 is going to start looking young to you when you're, you know, when you're 80 and 85. I mean, those are coming at you. And so, you know, we're on the trip from 70 to 90 together. Look at it that way. And I expect us to do great at it. I mean, that's part, look at it. I mean, face it, a whole bunch of us are here together doing that. And we're encouraging each other, and we're studying together. We're, you know, active, interested minds, reaching out to other people, building groups, and renewing every tissue, every metabolic process in our bodies. And I hope that's encouraging to you, Edward. We're going to get attributes of a younger Edward going forward. That's what we're after.
That'd be good.
He looks pretty young already to me.
That away.
That's right.
Thank you, Alan.
I got to tell you, I have learned so much in joining Avini. I have learned so much about my body, how it works. I have learned so much. I never knew that I would be so so knowledgeable about health and wellness as I have learned in just the last 3 months of being involved with Avini Health. And I can't even believe that it's only been 3 months. It feels like it's way longer because I feel like I have learned so much in that short time. But Chip, thank you for how you share with us, because it does open our minds and open our eyes to a lot of new things. This is a whole new learning process for a lot of us.
And it can be real simple. It's just the idea that you pull the stumbling blocks out of the way and the building blocks fit together right, and you start working like you did when you were younger.
Yeah.
You know, just attributes of a younger you. You know, I happen to get a kick out of the biology side of it, and that does slow you down. You know, you watch other people grow their businesses and they grow faster than I do. But I like this. I like being with you guys and talking about this kind of stuff. So please don't let me slow you down. Please don't let me slow you down.
No, not at all. You validate so much for me what I have invested my time and energy in. And yeah, and then it validates in my body. So thank you.
You don't have to know all that, but I think if you know that somebody knows.
Yeah.
You know, if you know where it's coming from,
oh yes,
of it and what the plant is like, and you know, those kind of things. I think it's a precious moment with great people on all sides, and we certainly need you guys and the stories that you're telling. So thank you for participating.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I wanted to just share with you, I've got a couple people that are on Cell Defender right now that have been really doing kind of, you know, a detox with it. And they have been dealing with, they had COVID a couple times. So they've been dealing with kind of fuzzy brains around things, you know, just fuzziness in their thinking and their thought processes. And they have been letting me know that things are clearing. So
they will, and it should be like the curtains being lifted up.
Yes.
You know, where things are just coming into focus. It should be like that. And And, that's a gradual thing. It's good that they maybe take notes about what's happening and recognize it, and that you check in and say, has it happened yet? What do you mean has it happened yet? Well, usually something's happened by now. What's that? Have you noticed anything? And sometimes they don't even realize,
I know.
what's happening. Maybe it's colorful dreams or better sleep.
Yeah.
When you start using this product, you'll start dreaming in much more vivid color and a lot more detail because
Hey,
there's more oxygen in your brain.
hey, Deb, did you hear that? You'll start dreaming. That's what she was saying. She's starting to have dreams.
Okay. Well, because there's more oxygen in Debbie's brain.
There you go, Deb.
Well, that's true. If I can just remember it, then I'll be doing good. I have dreams, vivid dreams nightly, but I can't remember them.
Well, if you want to remember them, you can make it probably, start programming your mind. You don't have to. Think about this. Sleep is really important because that's where your brain goes to organize things and to deal with big problems. And if that's not getting done, it leads to an accumulation of problems. So you don't have to remember it, but it'll go in there and work on a problem and work through it. And it's supposed to do that when you're asleep. But you have to be able to get to sleep and not be fighting all kinds of unnecessary wars. We take things that used to be necessary because you were stuck with it, like your buddies with the plug wires off. You put that all back on, their nervous system. I love this is kind of a little business line, but it's amazing what your brain thinks about when it's not worried about money. And having Avini clear up the financial problems really is a wonderful thing too. It's amazing what your brain thinks about when it's not worried about money. Yeah. One of the guys, that's Dave Johnson, one of our leaders years ago. When and he's just great at doing this. I enjoy being around him like I do you guys. But he used to have a line that I enjoyed. Who knows? Maybe I was always a philanthropist, but you just couldn't tell when I was broke.
Wow.
Just stuff like that. I love stuff like that. Debbie's unmuted. Hi, Debbie. Welcome to the chat.
Hi.
What's up?
Hey. So, yes. So, Deb, did you hear? He said.
Yes, I was answering and I didn't realize I was muted.
Oh, okay.
Okay. There
So
she is.
what were you answering?
I said, yes, I hear that.
Well, neat.
Yeah. Yeah, she was
Wonderful.
saying, Carol, I'm dreaming, I'm having dreams. And I said, wow. Okay.
No, not dreams.
Yeah.
The morning when you wake up, but you're not awake yet. That kind of area.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're better prepared for the day. Well, during the night, your body gets you ready to go do whatever you're going to do the next day. For example, you hear about people who have high sugars in the morning, but they didn't consume any sugar the night before. That's normal. Well, why is that? It's because your liver is preparing you for the next day, and it's converting glycogen to glucose so that you have quick burning energy the next day. So that's kind of normal, but we obviously want all of the sugar metabolism to be good, and we want to keep sugar consumption low because it's dangerous. It's a dangerous drug.
Wow. Well, there you go, Deb. So that is it. Your brain is definitely opening itself up. Yay.
Well, it's thinking, well, oh, what could we do today? Have a nice healthy Debbie to work with. What can I do? What can I dream up for today?
Mm-hmm.
And so hopefully it respect those ideas, act on some of them.
I love it. I so love it. So
Yeah.
I have a question. Chip, do you know like how many distributors we have now in the company? Do you have any idea?
The last I heard was around 5,600.
Wow.
Wow.
And that's
When I came in,
everybody,
there were
of course.
4,000.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I believe it's around 5,600, and of course varying degrees of active. Those of us that are on a gathering like this, I mean, there's 5 of us here together tonight, and that is an active group. It's very, very important, because each of us could lead to, who knows, another country when we open countries, or maybe, been all over the world, even parts of Kansas. There's not much work being done in Kansas yet. New York, I think, is probably almost untouched, I would guess.
That's what Teresa,
We are
that's what,
minuscule in size, actually.
yeah, that's what Christine was saying.
Yeah.
She's got her
Yeah,
work
there's a
cut
lot
out
to be done.
for her.
You bet. So I don't know exactly what you guys had in mind for your call tonight, but we got together and we visited a little bit, and you can report back to Christine that we were
I
here.
think this was excellent. It was.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
Totally perfect. We really honestly didn't have anything planned for the call tonight because Christine is gone, and she is usually the one that's getting us a guest speaker or whatever. But when you come, you are a guest speaker, Chip. So we're happy. We're
Gonna tell you a little story to close the call.
Uh-huh.
So I live in rural Nebraska in the wilderness, really.
Right.
And so sometimes you get big storms, and I go to a little tiny church where Marcy grew up. We were just down at her house where she grew up today, taking pictures of her and her brother and sister, matching pictures of them from like 1955 on. So they'd stand in the same place. That homestead is about to be auctioned Saturday the 12th. And so it's nostalgic for them, of course. But we go to the church in that little town, and there was a big blizzard one day, and the pastor made it, and he thought, well, nobody's going to make it. And then the door opened, and in comes this guy just covered in snow and wearing big overalls and stuff. And it's one of the ranchers, had gotten into town and walked in. He's the only one that made it, and so they were kind of talking, and the pastor said, well, I prepared for the day, but he said, I don't, it's just you and me here. And the pastor said, and the rancher said, no, go ahead and give me the sermon. So he sat down. It got to be, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes. And the pastor was really getting wound up because the rancher seemed to be soaking it all up. And he finally, he stood up and he said, just a second. He said, when are you going to quit? And he said, well, you said for me to, give what I'd prepared. He said, well, let me tell you, when I go out to feed the cattle, I load it all on the trailer. I put a whole stack on the trailer, and then I go out to pitchfork, and as the trailer moves down, I just scoop it off. But if only one cow comes out, I don't unload the whole load. So that's our closing comment for the call tonight. So there you go. Nebraska wisdom. All right. See you guys.
Thank
Good
you.
job. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
See you guys.
I recorded this, so it will go up in YouTube, and I'll send it out. So
Oh my, here we go. All right.
Thank you.
thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Good night,
joining
all.
us. Good night.
Good night.
Right.